Our physical being, our body, in my experience, reflects who we really are. I mean this in the state, like in my previous video, the flexion and extension video. We see this in our dynamic of movement, how we carry ourselves, so to speak. But we can also see this in a quality state of the tissue itself. When I work with this tissue, these different tissues, these different peoples, different beings, all these bodies carry different qualities. Some carry more water or more turgor, you could say, than others. You could feel maybe they're a little bit dehydrated, others are more well hydrated. I think a big example could be the looseness of our skins, the amount of connective tissue, the bindness of this connective tissue, how well it is preserved, but also just in the feel of it. At the end of this video we will do a little practice to feel our own tissue layer by layer, try to see if we can understand a bit more of ourselves. But let's just start at the beginning. I feel different tissue feels really different, and usually when feeling this tissue it already gives me a lot of information about this being that resides within it. Let's look at how we develop. Imagine in your mind's eye one cell. I do this, but really it's like this. One cell or two cells, the sperm and the egg cell connecting together, creating a functional cell that is growing, doesn't have any neurologic consciousness, you would say, but it's growing, it's adapting, it's responding to its environment. No baby is the same, but there seems to be a blueprint. So it is responding to its environment, and you could say there's a certain direction in this. Like I said, there's a certain blueprint, a certain direction. It grows towards this certain direction. But what is this thing that gives this direction? Can you call this God? Can you call this the universe? Can you call this whatever name you want to give it? Can it also just be called system and environment? We react to our environment and we adapt to these changes. These changes become more complex, we become more complex as well. I feel this is how we grow, this is how we morph. So for me, our consciousness is in our whole body. The whole body, not only the brain, but the whole of it. Every tissue in this body will respond in a certain way. We adapt, we change, our body adapts and changes with it. Now our neurological system, our mind, our brain is able to adapt really fast, we know this. But our body holds on to this zone, this layer, which has been created over time. It won't let this go really quickly. So when someone has a certain state of mind, the body could have a very different state of being. Now let's do a little practice. Take your arm. Most people have hair on their arm. We will touch only our hair on our arm. Now we press a little more, more pressure. Now we also circle this around. How does this feel? Does it feel smooth? Is there a lot of movement? Or is it really stuck? It's also possible. Let's go a little bit deeper. You can feel maybe the tissue changes. It's a different tissue here. Move this around. How does this feel? Does it feel really full? Or does it feel really loose? Can this move much? Or is it really static? Can you imprint in it? Or will it resist your pressure? Let's put some more pressure. If you're very sensitive, you can feel the sense of quality changes. It will become more dense the more you go inward into your arm. Feel this. How does this feel? Is it full or is it loose? Is it empty? This is your arm, but it's also your tissue. Now systemically, this tissue will represent a certain quality in its turgor, in its malleability, in its connectiveness, in its mobility, its expressiveness, so to speak. This tells already a lot about how we function. I feel when people are really struggling within themselves, really on edge, a lot of pressure, their body will also reflect this. It will feel really full, like the connective tissue is stressing the whole system. Like when you make a fist, you can see my whole arm changes its quality into a more pressure system. Let's say someone's belly, for example, is really static, not much movement. What could this tell about this person? Let's say our thorax, rib cage, has this a certain impression capability, or is it really static? What does this say about a person? What does this say about you as a morphing being? Does this even say much in the grand scheme of things? Or is this just a state of being? I feel our body represents itself, how we really are, really well. It's just about us being able to receive this information. It's a different kind of communication. It won't speak in words, it won't speak in sign language, it will speak in quality of palpation, and for the person's self in feeling. So dig deeper, feel yourself, touch your belly sometimes, move it around a little bit. Breathe in, breathe out, feel your rib cage, feel your belly. Does your belly expand well? Does your rib cage expand well? Discover, feel. Feel if there are changes, left or right. Feel if you can sense anything different, an anomaly somewhere. And then focus on this anomaly. No value judgment, just curiosity. So with that being said, we are morphing beings. We either morph or we die. There's not much else to it. So let's just try to morph well.